Nia Carter awoke to the grating buzz of her ancient alarm clock, its cracked plastic casing vibrating with each shrill ring. She groaned, rubbing her tired eyes, and forced herself upright in her cramped bedroom. Dim morning light trickled through tattered blinds, striping the cluttered room where a thin, tangled blanket barely shielded her legs from the chilly draft seeping through a cracked window. The air held the musty scent of damp wood and the faint, stale trace of last night's dinner. A single slice of toast scraped with margarine. Her gaze drifted to the kitchen table, where an eviction notice glared with bold red letters, a silent threat looming over her. With only 3 days left before they'd be forced out, anxiety twisted her stomach, though crumpling the paper wouldn't erase the overdue rent or her mother's meager diner wages, which couldn't stretch to cover both food and shelter. The apartment was eerily quiet, broken only by the occasional honk of a car from the main road. Her mother, Lorraine Carter, had slipped out hours earlier for an early shift at the Riverside Diner, where she spent endless hours on her feet, balancing trays with forced smiles for tips that barely kept them afloat. Nia sighed, swallowing the lump in her throat, knowing her mother's efforts were heroic yet insufficient against life's relentless pull. She slid out of bed, her bare feet brushing the cold, splintered wooden floor as she shuffled to the tiny kitchenette. There, she grabbed the last stale piece of bread from the night before, chewing slowly, her jaw tight, forcing it down to quiet her growling stomach. Hunger, a familiar foe she'd learned to suppress. Dressing quickly, Nia pulled on her cleanest shirt, though its wrinkles persisted, and slung her worn backpack, its faded fabric sagging under the weight of borrowed library books, over one shoulder. A glance at the clock spurred her into action. She couldn't afford to be late for school. Stepping outside, the crisp morning air carried the faint bite of car exhaust and the salty whiff of nearby Hollow Creek. Riverside's neglected outskirts, her home, were a forgotten sprawl of crumbling buildings with peeling paint, stray dogs barking behind rusted fences, and early risers huddled near the corner store, whispering gossip in the dawn light. Nia walked briskly, her steps deliberate and practiced, head down to avoid trouble, a skill honed from years of navigating this rough terrain, where lingering too long made her a target and rushing suggested guilt. As she neared downtown Riverside, the landscape shifted dramatically. Clean sidewalks, towering glass buildings, and well-dressed people moving with purposeful strides, a world foreign to her. The Reynolds Enterprises Tower rose like a silent giant, its sleek glass facade buzzing with suited executives who barely registered her presence in her secondhand clothes. Nia kept her head low, fingers tightening on her backpack strap, the weight of her outsider status a constant shadow. Her focus was survival, not envy, as she hurried toward school. Then, near the tower's entrance, something stopped her. A pregnant woman wobbled, one hand pressing her swollen belly, the other clutching a metal railing. Her flushed face and uneven breaths screamed distress. Nia froze, scanning for help. Businessmen, security guards, passers-by. But no one intervened, their glances fleeting and dismissive. Her mother's warning echoed. "Stay out of trouble, Nia. People like us don't get second chances here." She should have walked on, but when the woman's legs gave way, instinct overruled caution. Nia sprinted forward, arms outstretched, catching the woman just before she hit the concrete. The woman's weight surprised her, pressing down heavily, but Nia held firm, adjusting her grip to steady her trembling frame. "It's okay, I got you," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Just breathe, you're not alone." The woman's clammy skin glistened with sweat, her unfocused eyes fluttering as she clutched Nia's arm, nails digging in. Nia's pulse pounded as she realized the severity, yet the crowd remained passive. Businessmen strode past. A woman in a crisp blazer tapped her phone before walking off. Bystanders whispered but stayed back. Anger surged in Nia's chest at their indifference. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" She tried again, her tone firm yet gentle. The woman's head lolled, her whisper barely audible. Nia clenched her jaw, knowing collapse could be fatal here. "Hey, we need help," she shouted, frustration boiling over. But the onlookers avoided her gaze, treating it like a spectacle. "Unbelievable," she muttered, deciding action couldn't wait. The woman's ragged breathing and shuddering body suggested dehydration or worse, maybe early labor. Nia yanked off her backpack, fumbling past worn notebooks and broken pencils to grab a water bottle. Twisting the cap with her teeth, she tilted it to the woman's lips. "Sip this," she urged. The woman swallowed weakly, her chapped lips trembling, and Nia pulled back, watching her pale face for signs of improvement. "Good, that's good," Nia said, relief mixing with worry. She dug out a saved granola bar. "If it's your blood sugar," the woman shook her head faintly. "Cramps, something's wrong," she rasped, her voice thick with terror as she gasped. "My baby." Fear jolted Nia. "We're calling an ambulance now," she said, reaching for her pocket, only to remember her cracked phone was useless at home. "Somebody call 911, she yelled, her voice cutting through the city's hum. The crowd shifted uncomfortably until a middle-aged woman finally dialed, muttering about emergency services. Nia focused on the woman, helping her sit up despite her trembling grip. Then a security guard approached, his eyes narrowing on Nia. "Step away from her," he barked, hand near his radio. Nia braced herself, the woman whimpering beside her. "I'm helping her," she snapped, but the guard's doubt was clear. He saw her as the problem, not the savior. Before he could act, a deep voice sliced through. "Let her go." Ethan Reynolds stood at the top steps, his tailored suit exuding authority. The crowd stilled, the guard stepped back, and Nia felt the shift Ethan's sharp gaze took in the scene. Sophia, his wife, clinging to Nia, the indifferent onlookers. "You did this," he said, startling her. "You stepped in when no one else did. You saved my wife." Nia shook her head, uncomfortable. "I couldn't just leave her." Ethan's eyes softened as he knelt by Sophia, murmuring, "Breathe, baby. We're getting you to the hospital." Paramedics arrived, confirming possible abruption, and whisked Sophia away. As the ambulance doors closed, she squeezed Nia's hand, and Ethan asked her name. "Nia Carter," she said, straightening. He handed her a sleek card. "Come to my office tomorrow. Let me help you." Hesitant, she took it, the gold embossed letters foreign against her rough fingers. Back home, she told Lorraine, who warned of a catch, but the eviction notice loomed. They agreed to go together. The next morning, at Reynolds Enterprises, Ethan offered Lorraine a full-time job with benefits and Nia a scholarship to Riverside Academy. Nervously, she accepted, her life teetering on the edge of change.